And welcome to the 2024 Dynasty preseason power rankings. Me as your champ, Kevin. This is what you all been trying to get. Good luck getting it, though. It's not even wasting any time. Let's go with number 12. Start with Bobby. Bad season last year, only 2 wins, but there's upside. You have Marv and you have Malik. But there's still some questions about the running back duo with Rico Dowdle and Ray Davis. That's not exactly ideal. For the record, I don't think there's a team that's a whole lot better than everybody else, but I also don't think there's really a bad team in the league. I think for the first time in years, the league is pretty close, and I don't think there's a ton of separations. This was really tough to do, so just a heads up there. But I got Bobby at 12. I think Trey McBride could have an excellent season. I'm high on him this year. Dooley at 11. What's the deal with Jamar Chase? Is he going to get paid? Is he going to be starting for Dooley week 1? We don't know. Still holding out, hasn't played yet. I think JSN could be good as well. I think in a new offense in Seattle, I think he can thrive better, but I still think there are room for improvements on the team. And if Chase is going to miss some time, that's going to be a big loss for Dooley. Carbs at 10. Now, I know what you're thinking. Fantasy runner-up, finished second last year, down to 10, right? Think might have had a late run that might have given him some luck. I still think Allen is great, and I just don't love the running back situation that you have. I think Waddle, if he stays healthy, could be good, but I just think a lot of things went Carb's way. Having that matchup against Brad in the semifinals, who I thought would have made it last year, just a couple things didn't went his way. I still think he's not a bad team. He's not far from the top again. Everyone's pretty close. Just thought, based off what I saw, that he was the 10th ranked team. Sitnam at 9. Don't love the receiver situation with Metcalf. And obviously still working on with Kittle and Kelsey, and they're kind of getting older. And a lot of it's going to depend on if Kenneth Walker can stay healthy. I think he could have a good year in Seattle, but again, you're depending on a guy that has been hurt each of his first 2 seasons. But obviously I still love me some Joe Burrow at the top there, quarterback. Reed at 8. Now, no quarterback situation, right? We know the deal. Fields is not with the Bears anymore. Not playing. You have to start Bryce Young, who I think will have a bounce back year, but obviously not an ideal start. But the rest of the team is really good. Obviously, Puka Nacua is really good. Devontae Smith is really good. So there are a lot of good parts to Reed's team that I like. And obviously having to start Dobbins week 1 is not ideal. But I think there are parts of Reed's team that I think could eventually change and get better as season goes on. But obviously, like the core, and a lot of it's on Kyle Pitts too. Kyle Pitts has to be better. He has to make that next step, and hopefully with Kirk Cousins he could do that. Ted at 7. I know Ted has been at the top of the league. He's been the top. He was finished first last year in the league, but no T.J. Hawkinson and no Nick Chubb to start the season. Both those guys are on PUP. It could be a lot. I know CeeDee Lamb was a stud last year, and I am a Jerome Ford fan. Just think, and I'm not a Najee Harris fan at all either. Just kind of think it's, for now, and I think Ted's team could eventually get hot later if Hawkinson comes back and returns to glory, and if Chubb comes back and becomes himself. But 2 serious knee injuries there, so a little scary going in there, as Ted's kind of been on the top lately, and I feel like he's now become more to the middle of the pack. Rusty at 6. No tight end. Obviously, just asked for a tight end trade because it is abysmal. But when you look at Debo, when you look at Tyreek Hill, you look at T. Higgins, you look at Travis Etienne and Lawrence and Taylor, that's a really good group. And if he could just get a somewhat decent tight end to go with that group, I think Rusty's got a real chance to make a run this year into the playoffs. Brad at 5. I still think that, having Mark Andrews come back, hopefully, and Nico Collins, I think, has a big year with Stroud in year 2 with him. And obviously, you have the best player in football, in fantasy football, in Christian McCaffrey. So as long as you have McCaffrey, someone that can get you 20, 25 points almost consistently, you're always going to have a chance to do big in the league. And I am high on Jared Goff this year. I think he has a really good fantasy year. Gaddy at 4. I think his team's been disappointing. I think you look at the team on paper and you're like, oh, that might be the best team in the league. But there's obviously been questions about the performance the last 2 years. Obviously won in the 21. But obviously having Bijan coming in. You love the receivers in Adams and Justin Jefferson, but you don't love their quarterback situation. You've got Gardner Minshew throwing to Devontae Adams in Vegas, and then you have Sam Darnold throwing to you in JJ in Minnesota. So there's going to be some questions there. But I think if it all comes together, Gaddy might have the most talented team, top heavy-wise, in the league. Matt at 3. I just am really high on Devon Achane this year. I think he is an absolute stud. You have Garrett Wilson now with Aaron Rodgers. I think that's going to be a top threat. You have maybe the best fantasy tight end in Sam Laporta. So it's kind of now or never for Matt. I think his team is really in a good spot to make a run at the championship this year, where he's kind of been somewhere in the middle of the pack. And so number 2 is Tyler. Now, I think this is a boom or bust year for Tyler. If he doesn't win it this year, I don't know if the team stays together. It's kind of like a last run or expendables type of deal. But don't love the quarterback depth. Actually, no, I do like the quarterback depth. Had the most points in the league last year. Just kind of had that, kind of fell off in the playoffs. But I think with Saquon having a new destination in Philly, with Derrick Henry still being the guy that he is, I love the Raheem Mostert despite also having Achane. I think both guys are going to be really good plays. But I think this is kind of it for Tyler. Like, if he doesn't do anything significant this year, I kind of think the team is only going to go kind of downward from here. So this is a big year for Tyler being a number 2. And obviously number 1, I'm putting myself, because I won it last year, motherfuckers. The trophy is here. I have a lot of faith in my team. I obviously am very high on Kyron Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Joe Mixon. That's as good a running back trio as you're going to get. I think Olave has a bounce back year. Amari Cooper has a nice bounce back year. I got Brian Thomas Jr. on the bench. Very high on Lamar Jackson. So I'm number 1 for now. If I lose some games and someone can come for the trophy, then I'm more than willing to move down from 1. But I couldn't put anybody else besides myself, being the former champ. Come on. I'm not that humble.